Violent clashes erupted in Turkey again over the weekend, with signs that even more of the civilian population is being dragged into the dispute. Emre Peker is joining us from Istanbul. Emre, the Prime Minister, Mr. Erdogan, offered to hold a referendum on the future of Gezi Park, but that doesn't seem to have been enough.
No, Nick, it doesn't, because the protesters are angry that the Prime Minister is recognizing the broader displeasure that they're stating and their broader demands for more democratic rights and freedom, such as freedom of assembly. And they say the Prime Minister is pigeonholing the issue into an environmental matter focused around the park, whereas their demands are broader and concern their lifestyles.
I mean, I gather the government's now employing the military police as well as the ordinary police in trying to stop these protests.
Yeah, they did. At one point on Saturday, after the police moved to clear the park that's at the center of the demonstrations, violent clashes erupted all around central Istanbul. And at one point, as the police was spreading out, chasing demonstrators into side streets and other neighborhoods, they called on the gendarmerie to come and man checkpoints and help quell the violence and the sort of more threatening protests at that point.
I mean, it does look, Emily, as if this is the whole sort of protest movement is spreading more civilians are becoming involved, and now there's even call for a general strike.
Yeah, and the strike, in fact, has started in Ankara right now. About 1,000 union workers are marching to a central square. The police is at the moment warning them to disperse. The Interior Minister earlier today said any strike, any march would be illegal, and people participating in it would be facing legal action, sort of indicating that the government wouldn't soften its stance and continue with the crackdown and any effort to prolong the protests.
I mean, I gather that there are now some new polls out showing just more giving a better idea of what the general population feels about these protests.
Yeah, it's turning overwhelmingly against the government, Nick. 50% of the people polled said that they said they thought the government is becoming more authoritarian, while 36% of the pollsters denied that. But also what's more striking is that about 55% of the people participating in the poll disapproved of the way the government has handled these protests and agreed with sort of the public opinion that there's use of excessive force and it could have been handled much more efficiently, effectively, without all this violence.
I mean, we've seen the Turkish markets get knocked quite sharply earlier today as a result of the weekend protests. I mean, they've bounced back a little bit now. But between the polls and the markets, there must be pressure here on Erdogan and his government to do something. Any sign of any change in position?
I don't think so, Nick. So far, the Prime Minister has, in back-to-back rallies over the weekend in the capital, Ankara, as well as in Istanbul, that drew out hundreds of thousands of his supporters, claimed the eviction of the protesters from the park as a victory, said he won't tolerate illegal organizations occupying public spaces and infringing on other people's freedoms. And he doesn't, the Prime Minister doesn't seem to think that what he's doing is wrong, and he's casting the protesters as marginal groups, which is a narrative that he's been building on for the past 3 weeks now.